The documents case in Florida that Jack Smith has against President Trump is falling apart big time for these never-Trumpers. It's absolutely amazing. We got a real judge in this Florida case. She was appointed by Trump. This is the case in Florida. This Trump-appointed judge, Jack Smith, screwed up. He didn't plan on a Trump-appointed judge getting the case. And the case is in Fort Pierce, Florida, which is one of the most strong MAGA parts of Florida. And, of course, Florida is probably the strongest MAGA state in the union. And what Jack Smith screwed up with, he's a government worker. What do you expect? He took this case to the Miami federal court. He didn't realize that they do a rotation so far as what judges get it, almost like a spin of the wheel. This judge got it, appointed by Trump in this MAGA county, and she's very good. And all kinds of information has been coming out of her courtroom the last few weeks. And most of what's come out of her courtroom, none of it's been good for Jack Smith, right? They staged evidence. They lied to the court. They did all kinds of things. But the stuff from that courtroom has not been getting a lot of attention. And the reason it hasn't been getting a lot of attention is because it helps Trump, okay? The New York case is all but falling apart.
Right.
We're getting ready to go to the jury on that. The jury will have that case in New York next week after Memorial Day. But they don't want to have two cases falling apart. But a new major shocking document just came out of the documents case, the break-in of Mar-a-Lago. I know they call it a raid. I call it a break-in. And President Trump's team has made a motion to dismiss the classified documents case. A new document comes out. Now, last week—
this is shocking.
Yeah. Before we get to the new one, last week, a document came out of the documents case that Joe Biden personally signed off personally signed the authorization for the Mar-a-Lago raid. And that says a lot. That tells you how big of a deal it was, because no one under him wanted to sign off on that. No one was willing to sign. The FBI director, the deputy directors, who's ever in charge of the Florida field offices, none of them wanted to sign off on it. No one would do it because they knew how wrong it was, what a big deal. So Biden personally signed off on the authorization for the FBI raid of Mar-a-Lago. Now, I want you guys just to put some context in that. Then we'll get to this new thing, which Biden also had to have signed off on as part of the same thing. Richard Nixon, who was not impeached, by the way, was not removed from office, although they'll make you think he was. He resigned because he just cowered out. He didn't stand up like Trump. But Richard Nixon had nothing to do with the Watergate break-in. What got him in trouble— he was involved in a cover-up. He was trying to raise money. You may have heard the term slush fund. He was trying to raise money to make all those CIA agents, the burglars, give them some money to go retire somewhere to be, until things blew over. And he got in trouble for that. That's what they conned him into resigning with. He had nothing to do with the break-in, nothing at the Watergate. Joe Biden not only was directly involved in the break-in of President Trump's home, the leader of the political opposition and the guy he's running against, but he actually signed the paper that authorized it, okay? And that's pretty big. Okay, so we got a new document today. The FBI— now again, this is the raid that it has Joe Biden's signature is on the document authorizing the Mar-a-Lago raid, his actual signature. It's not like he told someone, okay, he signed the document.
Yeah, now, so he's definitely involved.
Well, that means he's ordered it. Behind it. Yeah. Okay, here's the new document that just came out. The FBI was authorized to use deadly force in the Mar-a-Lago raid.
That's scary.
This is insane. They were authorized to use deadly force. And what that means is, once you think about it, says here, this is in the document, officers of the Department of Justice may use deadly force when necessary. Now, this is insane. And because at Mar-a-Lago, this is what they were thinking. Now, President Trump was not there when this happened. But Mar-a-Lago always has Secret Service there. If you've ever been there, when he's not there, they're always there. This was in case there was a standoff or shootout with President Trump's Secret Service at Mar-a-Lago and the FBI. If the Secret Service refused to let them in and there was a gun battle. This is how sick these people are. They thought that U.S. federal agents from 2 different agencies of the federal government might get involved in a gunfight at the OK Corral at Mar-a-Lago.
Yeah.
And the Justice Department, under this Merrick Garland, who Obama nominated to the Supreme Court, boy, we got lucky that didn't happen, this monster on the Supreme Court, that Merrick Garland and Joe Biden authorized the FBI to get into a gunfight, a gun battle with the Secret Service at Mar-a-Lago and shoot people dead if they felt they needed to.
What's really scary is I think Barron was there, wasn't he?
No,
was
no one in the Trump family was there.
Well, that's good.
No, there was one of Trump's lawyers was there. None of Trump's family were there.
That is nuts. So
they timed it that way. They didn't want to do the break-in with the Trumps there.
Okay. They were in New Jersey, right? It was over the summer.
Yeah.
So that is really strange. I mean, what other reason could there be to authorize that other than, you know what I mean?
Insanity.
And to say, well, liberals live in a fantasy world. And you're right. They probably fantasized that there would be that they would try to protect Trump in some way and guard it with their life.
Well, they've got this thing.
Or they want to give the impression that it was a dangerous mission.
They've got this thing that Trump's a cult leader, right?
Right.
So they've convinced themselves that his Secret Service detail, many of them have been with him for years. They're federal agents and all, but they're actually cult members and are loyal to him, not the government of the United States or to the United States or whatever it is. So they might get involved in a gunfight with the FBI when they come in. Now, keep in mind, the FBI called ahead and said, we're coming. So even though they called ahead, they were expecting or thought there was a strong possibility of the Secret Service circling Mar-a-Lago. And I guess we're going to have the Alamo there. I don't know. This is nuts.
Yeah,
and,
that's crazy.
All this talk about Putin. And, I know his opposition leader was in the prison and he died. I don't know all the story about all that, but I know what's going on here. And in this country, we had the president of the United States, that'd be Joe Biden. I hate to even say that. It's a national embarrassment that this scummy guy who's done nothing but crime his entire life and hanging out with Klansmen and all this stuff, is the president. It's a national embarrassment. But the sitting president of the United States signed a document authorizing the break-in of another president who he's running against that also involved deadly force.
Yeah, that's pretty
So,
shocking.
I mean, this should be like the thing on the news that breaking news,
not.
They interrupt programming, there's sirens, they have the fancy music. It's not even been mentioned in the mainstream corporate media. No. Just like it, I have not yet seen it reported. The media are covering the New York case. I haven't seen one story in the mainstream media about the Democrats sending the checks to the judge's daughter's house in Virginia that Laura Loomer broke Saturday morning.
No.
The media, it's amazing. They have the 24-hour news cycle. They've got 24 hours a day to fill. Now,
because they pick and choose what they're going to present.
They're in the business of covering up the news, not reporting it.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, this story authorizing deadly force in the Mar-a-Lago raid, it's hard for me to even believe that. I mean, it's like surreal. It's like out of a Tom Clancy book or something.
It's all over Twitter, and I put it in the Patreon so they could see the document itself. I was pretty shocked, and why they would do that, I don't know. But liberals live in a fantasy world. I'm just a little thrown right now because somebody in my family, okay, I'll say it's my brother.
Our 2 rescue kittens that we have,
well, I was going to talk about
we
that,
got from Kathy's brother, okay? And they're going to be, 6 weeks old on Friday?
Yeah.
They'll be 6 weeks old this
Pepsi
Friday.
Cola and Coca-Cola.
We've had them for 2 weeks almost. It'll be Friday, it'll be 2 weeks that we've had them. And we got them from him. And and we got our other cat from him too. He rescued her, Luna. And the phone was ringing, and you said, I said, no, he probably wants to talk about the cats. Take the call. And then, I'm sure he wants to know about the kittens. And the next thing I know, you're like yelling. And I'm like, what's going on?
I didn't want to take the call. My brother and I don't get along. We never have. I'll leave it at that.
He's very liberal. He watches too much Rachel Maddow.
He called and I said, I don't want to take this call. And you said, take the call. He probably wants to call about the kittens.
Exactly.
I said, well, I didn't want to take the call. See, I have very good instincts, okay? I really do. So I took the call because we were getting ready to do the show. And within 30 seconds, my brother brings up this case with Michael Cohen and all this stuff. And my brother only watches MSNBC.
Yeah.
And he's convinced that Trump has slept with all of these women. He's read every book against Trump. He hates the guy. He thinks he's a scumbag. He's just and he just like really laid into me about it. And we were like fighting with each other, arguing, like not screaming, but our voices were raised back and forth. And I'm just like, you're wrong. And I'm like, and I told him how Michael Cohen is a grifter and he's embezzling and how all these, anyway. And he just, of course, that's not true. You don't know what you're talking about. And this and that, back and forth for like 10 minutes. I got all upset. I'm like still shaking. I don't like arguing like that with people, especially in my family. I never discuss politics with my brother. He brings it up and I don't even go there. But for some reason, I don't know, I got roped in this time. And I said, you know what? Then he brought up another topic. And then I said, you know what? I want to hang up this. I want to end this conversation right now. I'm like, I just don't want to have this conversation with you anymore. I'm getting upset. And it's really amazing how politics really divides people. Now, my brother and I never really got along, okay? I love him. He's my brother, but he's my older brother, but we've never gotten along. We're cordial, but that's about it. And we're not close or anything like that. But even people that are very close in families, it's amazing how politics divides people and how people will believe their beliefs, which they're entitled to, and there's just no budging on that. And it's just a topic like religion, where you are not going to convince somebody to think differently if they have their mind completely set on thinking a certain way, even if you present facts and tell them, this is nope, that's not true, and you're wrong, and this and that. It's very frustrating. So I don't even like to have conversations with him about it, or everybody else in my family likes Trump. Everybody.
Maybe you should block his number.
My sister, everybody likes Trump. Yeah. And even my cousins in Canada like Trump. But my cousins up in Minnesota on my dad's side. But this is the only person in the family who hates him. And my mom doesn't get into discussions with him either about it because it's too upsetting. Because he just, doesn't want to hear it. He's just, convinced. And I said, well, why do you think he slept with Stormy Daniels? Well, there's a picture of them together. I said, not in bed. They're at an event. He makes lots of people. And anyway, it was just like that. It was very ugly,
Kathy,
and nasty.
And
I don't like being that way with my brother.
How many people have all of us taken pictures with our entire lives? Just because you take a photo with someone,
it's just ridiculous.
Doesn't mean you've had sex. My goodness.
And I said the left have done nothing but lied about Trump since 2015 or 14. And I said, all they do, so for 10 years, we've been dealing with this crap. And they keep making things up. And then he's like, well, a member of the Hells Angels is sitting behind him, which I didn't.
That is true.
I did not know.
Former member of the Hells Angels.
I said, well, I don't know who that guy, he mentioned his name. I said, I don't know who he is.
He looks kind of funny. He's kind of a weird
And he said,
guy.
I said, I don't know why he's there. I guess Trump invited him. So what? What does that have to do with anything?
Yeah.
Ugh. I just feel yucky right now. I'm sorry.
Yeah, well,
that's wrong. I'm not in a good mood now. I'm very upset.
That's what happens when you talk to liberals, and
you feel awful.
Yeah. Now this, I'll tell you who this guy is though, because since you mentioned it,
I was like shaking. I still just feel really bad.
When Trump walked out of court yesterday, and I saw his posse at Alan Dershowitz, and I saw this one guy walk by, and he looked kind of strange. And I was like, who is this guy? And then I kind of forgot about it. And then, of course, it's all over the news. His name's Chuck Zito.
That's it.
And he helped found in the early 1980s the New York Nomads chapter of Hells Angels.
Well, he's probably known him for years.
So it's not like the original Hells Angels and all that stuff.
There's Gorka behind him, too.
Yeah, is out of California.
Right.
Okay. And the Justice Department describes, this is in the liberal media, the Hells Angels as a criminal enterprise that's linked to the New York chapter of the Gambino crime family. Yeah, the guy looks like he could be in the Gambino crime family. Listen, this is New York. Trump's in the construction business.
Exactly. So they've probably known each other for decades.
Yeah, Zito left the biker group Hell's Angels to try to become a movie star in Hollywood. That didn't work out. And they've known each other for a long time. I mean,
Exactly.
So what? I mean, whatever.
When you're in that business, you hang out with unsavory people sometimes.
That is true.
Maybe he's reformed, and I don't even know who he was talking about.
Don't talk to liberals. Don't talk to liberals.
Very frustrating.
The inflation is, I try to ignore it as much as I can, but I like to go to Taco Bell. And I used to go to Taco Bell before we were married when I was first out on my own. I didn't make a lot of money. And Taco Bell, I could go to Taco Bell and get so much food for like $5. I mean, I could eat on $5.
That's how Taco Bell got big with college kids. You could get a lot of food for very little money.
Yeah, they used to have like the 99-cent tacos.
Yeah.
You could get I remember you used to be able to get tacos for like 79 cents, 69 cents. And I could go to, I was like the Sally Struthers children, okay, but I was working. I just wasn't making a lot of money. And I could eat at Taco Bell for $5 a day and get a drink and everything else. I get a big drink. And your money went far.
Be full.
And I still do, on occasion, go to Taco Bell. And the reason I like Taco Bell a lot, I like their hot sauce.
It tastes so good, but every time I eat it, I get nauseous. Every time.
I love Taco Bell.
Yeah, it's good.
I eat there most of the time because when I get off the air in the morning at 9, I don't like breakfast foods really too much. I like lunch when I get off the air because I've been up for a long time. It's not breakfast time. It's lunchtime for me. And it's hard to get lunch at 9 o'clock in the morning except at Taco Bell.
Right.
Because some of them are open 24 hours. Some of them are not, but they open for breakfast. They have some breakfast items, but they also sell the tacos and burritos, okay? So I go there on occasion. I went there the other day, and I never paid so much for Taco Bell. I get the same thing every time, right? I either get 4 or 5 crunchy tacos, and I'll get a beef burrito, okay? And I don't remember what the price was, but it was so much more than what I'm used to. I hadn't been in a while. I looked at the receipt to make sure they didn't charge me for a bunch of other food. It was pretty expensive.
Yep.
And I saw today an inflation chart for fast food that's on X, Twitter. And
it's a big problem.
It has 3 restaurants listed on it: McDonald's, Chick-fil-A, and Taco Bell. And it has their price increases from 2019 to now. And I want to go through this.
Before you do, this is another thing my brother brought up about inflation. He said it's because of the pandemic that there's inflation.
What? It's been.
I said that is absolutely not true.
Over for years, all that shutdowns and everything. That's just a fantasy. But before I go into this price list, I want to tell you, Father's Day is right around the corner. There's no better place to do your Father's Day shopping than MyPillow.com. And I'm a dad, and I know what dads like, and I'll tell you what a dad would like. The MyPillow slippers, huge discount on those. A MyPillow bathrobe, huge discount on those. Of course, with our promo code Kane at checkout, Kane. The MyPillows, whatever MyPillow you choose, there's great deals on the MyPillows. There's not a dad in the world that wouldn't like the MyPillows. If you really want to get dad a gift he'll be telling you about for years and years to come, get him the MyPillow mattress topper, 50% off with the promo code Kane at checkout, Kane. And it's free shipping on all orders over $75 with our promo code Kane at checkout too. Kane at checkout at MyPillow.com. And remember, when you go to MyPillow.com and use our promo code Kane, Kane, you are supporting this program and all the content I bring to you, okay? The podcast with Kathy, my YouTube channel, and of course the radio show. Promo code Kane, Kane at checkout at MyPillow.com. And unlike these fast food places, there's massive price reductions at MyPillow.com. It's like the opposite of inflation at MyPillow, okay? With our promo code Kane, you can save up to 80%. So I'll go through first with Taco Bell because that's, it's the cheapest, but it's still going up a lot, okay? This is Chick-fil-A, McDonald's, and Taco Bell. I'm going to start with Taco Bell. A 5-layer beefy burrito in 2019, $1.69. Now, $3.69. That's a 118.3% price increase. Taco Bell's Nachos Bel Grande in 2019.
Yeah, that's good.
$3.29. Now $5.89. That's a 79% increase. The spiced potato soft taco in 2019 was $1. Now it's $1.19. That's a 19% increase. The cheesy bean and rice burrito, no meat, just beans, was $1 in 2019. Now $1.19. That's a 19% price increase. The Crunchwrap Supreme was $3.49 in 2019. Now $5.29. That's a 51.6% increase. So you can see the increase. That's why I got like sticker shock when I went to Taco Bell. I was in shock. Let's see. I'll do McDonald's next. Medium fries at McDonald's in 2019, $1.79. Now $4.19.
That's crazy.
That's an increase of 134.1%.
That is crazy. How much again?
In $4
for
medium French fries in 2019 was $1.79. Now $4.19.
Wow, not even large.
No,
that medium. Is so. A large has got to be over $5.
I don't even want to know
for potatoes. That's crazy.
A McChicken in 2019 was $1.29. Now $3.89. That's a 201.6% price increase. Excuse me, guys. I mean, this is
what's
crazy.
Really, I think, going to have a huge impact on the election, because that is, Rachel Maddow and these people, of course, don't eat fast food. They have private chefs, but everyday Americans do eat this stuff. And Trump eats it, by the way. He loves McDonald's. Right. And I keep telling you guys, he needs to bring McDonald's to the debate and talk about it, because that's his favorite restaurant, right? And talk about the price of things and come with this list.
It's insane.
And this is just a little snapshot of a tiny piece of our life that has been affected by inflation. It's affecting everything. But oh my God, French fries over $4.
Oh, listen to this.
That's insane.
Now, when I go to McDonald's, mostly what I get is I'll get the 10-piece McNugget and 2 cheeseburgers is usually what I get. I like the cheeseburgers. I like the McNuggets, with the barbecue sauce. 10-piece McNuggets in 2019 were $4.49. 10-piece McNuggets, right?
Let me guess what they are now. Well, $8.50.
No. Now let me just give the numbers. It'll sound like you're saving money if you do it that way. In 2024, there's $7.58. So
that's still a lot.
They went from $4.49 to $7.58. That's a 68.8%
that's a lot.
Increase. A cheeseburger.
And they're probably smaller too.
I don't know.
They're probably smaller portions.
I don't know. Now the cheeseburger. Now the reason when I get the McNuggets, I usually get the 2 cheeseburgers. Is I would usually eat one of them and then give one of them to our dog, which of course passed away a couple weeks ago. At 17, I'd get 2 cheeseburgers, and they were $1 each in 2019. Today, the cheeseburger is $3.15, which is a 215% price increase.
For just one.
Cheeseburgers went from $1 in 2019 to $3.15
That's
a
crazy.
cheeseburger today.
This isn't even the meal. Like if you get the value meal, you're talking, you used to be able to go to McDonald's. Here's the thing. And I'm not just saying this is about low-income families, but low-income families especially. And I know this because I used to teach when I was teaching. I taught middle school, and a lot of the kids would talk about this, that their parents didn't have a lot of money, and you could tell they did not eat the best. But they would go to McDonald's, once a week or as a treat, and it was and I've read this in articles too, it was a really good way for low-income families to give their kids a very high-calorie meal at a very low price, because they weren't eating great. They weren't able to, a lot of poor families of all races, there's poor people that struggle to feed their kids. They could always say, you know what, I could take my 2 kids and for $10, I can buy them both a Happy Meal and know that they're going to get a high calorie meal, and which they need. Kids need high calories because they're growing so fast. Now they can't, $10 buys 1 meal for a person, pretty much. It's doubled.
Yeah,
everything's
crazy.
Doubled, and it's really affecting everybody across the board is commenting on this.
And all these prices were compiled by either the restaurant's website or app. Okay, so the third one and the final one's Chick-fil-A, and we
I love Chick-fil-A.
We go to Chick-fil-A every week or so. I like Chick-fil-A.
Yeah, they're good.
The deluxe chicken sandwich in 2019 was $3.65. It's now $6.55. That's a 79.5% price increase. Now, Chick-fil-A has nuggets that are pretty good. The 8-piece Chick-fil-A nuggets in 2019 were $3.05. Now they're $5.99, which is a 96.4% increase.
Here's how it's affected us. Brian and I, like you said, I don't cook anymore. So we used to like go out to lunch together and not like restaurants, like you sit down. We would go pick up like Chipotle or Chick-fil-A or something during the week, not on the weekends. And that was like a thing we do. And that was our big meal of the day. And then dinner, we'd have like soup or cereal or something that's just how we are. I'm not a big into cooking. And it's too hard for me physically. But anyway, we used to do that every day. And now we're definitely eating home more. Sandwiches, soups, cereals. Sometimes I'll make spaghetti, things like that. But last week we ate at home 3 days. And I had chicken soup. You had
yesterday
a roast beef sandwich.
Yesterday I had a peanut butter sandwich. When I came home from work.
Exactly. I mean, that's about as cheap as you can get.
It's like the Depression.
And we are eating out less because I have seen it affect our bank account too. And I'm like, wow, like food is so much money. We used to be able to eat out, and the two of us could eat out for $20.
Not anymore.
Maybe $30. Like Chipotle, when we first started eating at Chipotle, Brian, Emily, and I could eat there for $30. The three of us. Now, when Brian and I go, it's $45 just for two people. It's crazy. So we go to Chipotle like twice a month now.
Yeah.
We used to go twice a week. Mm-hmm. So these are things that definitely are affecting everybody.
Let me finish with Chick-fil-A. Got a couple of things.
That's crazy.
The medium waffle fries, which I usually get, in 2019 at Chick-fil-A were $1.65, now $2.99. That's an 81.2% increase.
Cheaper than McDonald's fries.
A large milkshake. I don't get the milkshakes too often. I do on occasion at Chick-fil-A. They're very, very good.
They're
a large milkshake in 2019 at Chick-fil-A was $3.15. It's now $5.19, which is a 64.76%.
Yeah, it all adds up.
Increase.
I mean, it all adds up when you're ordering.
Oh, yeah.
How many people go to these places and just order one thing? You always get a drink, fries, or a side. By the way, Chick-fil-A has the best mac and cheese and chocolate chip cookies. But everything, you go, and if you have a family with you, what are these restaurants to do, though? Okay, so my brother thinks inflation is from COVID, which is, I don't think that's all true at all. What you tell me, why is all of this happening? I think it has to do with the gas.
The main reason is the
farming.
Gas. That's the number one reason.
Well, and maybe
the
Chinese owning all the farmland.
That's part of it. But the main reason is fuel. Fuel is the main reason because that drives the price of everything.
Sure, and fuel was half what it is today.
And and here's the thing. I just want to explain why Kathy physically can't cook. Right, it's just too.
No, I really can't.
Kathy's disabled.
Yeah,
and
I get overheated very easily.
And I'm too busy. I mean, I'm too busy, and Kathy doesn't like my cooking.
When Emily was younger, we cooked a lot.
And it's just the two of us.
Right.
Okay? We don't have our daughter anymore. If our daughter was here, it'd be different. But Kathy and
She'd be cooking.
We really only eat one meal a day. We don't eat – we're not cutting back on the number of meals because of inflation, but we really only eat one meal a day, which is lunch. And then in the evenings, we'll have a little something like I'll have a bowl of Cocoa Pebbles or something.
Toast
or a bagel or something.
Yeah,
we just are not big eaters.
Right.
And so I don't want you to think that we're going out to some restaurants. And when we go out to eat, it's like Jersey Mike's, Chipotle, Chick-fil-A, McDonald's, places like that.
Brown bag stuff.
But I have really noticed a lot. I started with the Taco Bell.
Yeah.
Because Taco Bell, they put the price up on the window. It when you go to pay, it lights up. So that's one I see. The other ones, when we go to McDonald's and stuff, I typically don't pay attention. It's just the two of us. I know it's not going to, but I've started to pay attention lately. And it is getting expensive to the point, like when we go somewhere, I don't get a drink. Or I won't get a side or something that I normally would. I'm buying less food.
We're buying less. We're eating out less.
We're eating out less and we're buying less, and that's not good for the economy. So I might get a side that I don't get, or I might share your fries or something, and just buy a la carte on the items because those value meals don't necessarily save you money. They charge you individually in one thing a lot of times, so you're really not always saving money on value meal. And I hate to talk this way, but this is, this is Biden's America.
Well, and I know people are going to leave comments, well, it's better for you to eat at home anyway. I understand that, but that's not the point of the conversation. So that's not about our diet, which isn't the greatest, I'll admit it, but I just, I hate cooking. I always have, and I'm a good cook, but now it's physically too hard for me to do it. And Brian, forget it. So that's not the point. The point of the conversation is that I think fast food prices are really going to help Trump and affect the election more than people realize, because that is something that everybody notices and pays attention to, and that it really affects people across the board.
Oh, yeah.
I think, and I've seen people on TikTok and on social media really upset about the McDonald's and the price of hamburgers. Somebody went viral because they went to Five Guys, which I hate personally. I think their fries are disgusting. But they went to Five Guys. It was one person, and it was a $30 check, and he couldn't believe how much he paid for one person. And it went viral, and it was like half that price under Trump. The fact is, everything under Trump was at least half of what it is now. That is the truth. Groceries, gas, insurance, everything was half price. The interest rates were lower. Everything was better. And I think everybody can admit that. And I really think that and the border are going to be the two issues. Now, another thing my brother brought up in our fun conversation was, and I don't believe this either, he said the reason Biden and them want to do a June debate is because the DNC is going to see how Biden does and decide whether to get rid of him or not, whether to replace him. And I said, Biden is never going to he said at the convention. So do you think that's true?
No,
that they organized a debate in June to see if why would Biden agree to that?
Biden's inner circle, like the Jill Biden people, they set the debate up to try to cement the fact that he is the nominee. They're afraid the DNC is going to take the nomination away from Joe.
Okay. So you have you're saying the opposite.
So they figure if they have the debates, he's locked in.
Right. Now, listen, that makes more sense to me.
We're going to take our first break. Don't go anywhere. We've only just begun. We have so much to cover. My name's Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. We'll be back right after this.
Fitness enthusiast, are you ready to elevate your workout wardrobe? Then check out Certified Lifters brand. Certified Lifters is South Florida's fastest growing fitness brand. They bring you high quality clothes at prices you can afford. For men, they have shorts and pump covers. And for women, they have an amazing collection of tops, shorts, leggings, and sports bras. Whether you're hitting the gym or lounging in style, Certified Lifters exclusive urban fitness wear has you covered with comfort and flair. Everything is premium, stylish, and exclusive. Certified Lifters ensures you never compromise on quality during your workout. Enjoy free shipping on all orders over $100. Use the coupon code OFF10 at checkout and save 10% off your first order. Start shopping right now at CertifiedLiftersBrand.com. Subscribe to the email list for special offers, free giveaways, and once-in-a-lifetime deals. Certified Lifters Brand, where comfort meets style. Online at CertifiedLiftersBrand.com. Take an electrifying journey with the Continuum series from author Jenna Ryan. In Book 1, The Channeler, A Future Forewarned, Caleb Swift grapples with an extraordinary gift and the haunting visions that come with it. He felt as if he was stuck in an endless nightmare, watching a terrible future, feeling powerless to change it. Or was he? Caleb's complex life takes a turn when he's faced with the choice to embrace his supernatural abilities or live an ordinary, uncomplicated life. Can he ignore the visions and the girl who needs him? In Book 2, The Steel Renegade, A Future Unknown, Caleb confronts tragedy, secrets, and a forewarning that could alter the fate of both human and inhuman kind. He needs to become stronger, he needs to fight harder, and he'll do whatever it takes. As past, present, and future collide, the truth surfaces, uncovering a mystery where past shape a better future. If you're a fan of urban fiction, science fiction, romance, adult fiction, or young adult fiction exploring themes of magic, magic, clairvoyance, angels, and demons, then author Jenna Ryan's Continuum series is perfect for you. Both books in the series are available on Amazon, BarnesandNoble.com, and the author's website, JennaRyanInc.com. Order both books in the Continuum series right now from author Jenna Ryan. There's two types of people in the world. Those who have done the infamous double flush to hide all the sound in a public toilet, and those who are lying about it. With Royal Flush, you'll say goodbye to being overheard in the office bathroom or at home. Royal Flush uses ambient forest and water noises to discreetly mask toilet sounds, giving you confidence and privacy. It's great for schools, offices, and homes. Royal Flush is easy to install, too. It's battery operated and created by Donna Burke, an Australian video game star living in Tokyo. Not only will Royal Flush save you embarrassment, it saves water. It's even been called a marriage saver. Visit JapanToiletSound.com and join the revolution in bathroom comfort. You'll also enjoy free worldwide shipping via Japan Post. It makes a great gift, too. Royal Flush, privacy, dignity, and peace of mind every time you go. JapanToiletSound.com. Are you fed up with fad diets and exhausting exercise regimes that just don't work? Learn the secret to transforming your body, feeling fantastic, and improving your overall wellness with intermittent fasting solutions for women over 50. From author Dr. Maxine Morris Stewart. Available on Amazon. Intermittent fasting is proven to be beneficial for both your mind and body. Women over 50 face unique challenges in maintaining their health, vitality, and desired weight. Author Dr. Maxine Morris Stewart is a chiropractor and family nurse practitioner, and she unveils the science behind intermittent fasting. This must-read and life-changing book will help you on each step of your journey and help you create a lasting, sustainable lifestyle. If you want to reignite your metabolism, experience sustainable weight loss, and embrace a vibrant lifestyle, and enjoy the benefits of intermittent fasting, order your copy of Intermittent Fasting Solutions for Women Over 50 from author Dr. Maxine Morris Stewart on Amazon. Available in Kindle, paperback, hardcover, and Kindle Unlimited. Transform your health and age gracefully with intermittent fasting solutions for women over 50 on Amazon.
You are listening to The Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at BrianCraigShow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome back, everyone. You're listening to The Brian Craig Show podcast. I'm Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host, Kathy. Okay, so Bill Maher has been doing the interview circuit. He was on The View today. He was on Megyn Kelly's show today. And he was on Greg Gutfeld yesterday. I watched his interview with Megyn Kelly, and I watched his interview with Gutfeld. I do have one clip from The View from Joy Behar. I'm not sure if I'll play it or not. But I didn't watch The View interview. I'm not interested in watching that. If you ever hear me play something from The View, it's not that I watched it. I saw a clip online somewhere, someone talking about it, or I heard it somewhere and I went and grabbed it. I don't watch that garbage. But Bill Maher has a book out, and Bill Maher, he's going in these strange places, Megyn Kelly and Gutfeld.
Yeah,
and
he seems very uncomfortable.
It's a little weird. The first one I watched was Megyn Kelly, and then I watched him on Gutfeld. He basically said the same thing on both interviews. And he's going on these unfriendly places for his viewpoint, right? I don't think really to promote his book. I know he's on a book tour, but I think that's secondary. Bill Maher has sounded so reasonable the last year or two on so many things. And when he was on Megyn Kelly and Greg Gutfeld, I thought he was really nasty. He was nasty to Megyn Kelly. He was rude to Greg Gutfeld. He was rude to the other guest on Gutfeld's show, including Perino. I don't like Dana Perino, but he was rude to everybody. And I think his Hollywood friends, his liberal friends, have been telling him he's sounding like he's a Trump guy.
I think that's why he wrote this book.
And he's going on these shows to establish that he is a liberal Democrat voting for Biden. And when he goes, it's very interesting when on these. I watched the complete interview on Gutfeld and the complete interview of him on Megyn Kelly because I wanted to watch the whole thing, not see it in sound bites, so I could talk about it. He's got one thing and one thing only that he talks about: the last election. Okay, he says he's voting for Biden. He does not talk about the border. He doesn't talk about inflation. He doesn't talk about the fake war in Ukraine. He does have the right view on Israel, like I do, and Ben Shapiro. He supports Israel. But he's avoiding all the issues. And Megyn Kelly is, you're voting for Biden, but this issue, that issue. And he told Megyn Kelly was one-on-one. Gutfeld had a panel, and he had Dr. Drew, and he had that skinny girl. He should not have had them there. It should have been one-on-one with him and Bill Maher. That was a special thing, and I thought Greg Gutfeld kind of blew that a little bit by having
his
the other
monologue
people.
is way too long in the beginning.
It's
it's
25
almost
minutes. It's
almost half the show.
Yeah.
It's way too long.
And it wasn't that funny.
I've always felt that.
But anyway, Megyn Kelly, it was one-on-one, and she went through these issues. She says, you talk about the last election, and she says, you don't talk about the southern border. You're not talking about the fentanyl and all this stuff. And he says, all these other issues, he says, are important, but we can work them out with Biden and all. The problems that we're facing in this country right now, which involve this fake war in Ukraine and the other things I listed, these aren't things that have just happened. These are things that have been caused by Joe Biden. Joe Biden has caused these problems. But this book tour of Bill Maher, go and watch the interview he did with Megyn Kelly.
She did a pretty good job.
I thought she did. Watch it on YouTube, and if you can, watch it on your TV and look at the shoes he was wearing.
He was
wearing these weird boots that look like women's boots. They look like
they have a big heel on them.
They look like they were made of like some kind of feminine suede. It was very strange. It was very weird what he was wearing. But anyway,
he looked very uncomfortable. With Kelly and especially Gutfeld. He looked very out of his element
because he's not during the interview. He's not in control.
Yeah, and especially on the Gutfeld show, and he's only there to promote his book, which is very interesting to me because I'm sure he's written other books. I've never read them, but
I'll never read a Bill Maher book ever. I will never read.
I've never seen him promote them on conservative platforms.
If he has, I've missed it.
So I don't know what that's about.
But let me tell you, he was so rude and nasty. And I'll tell you, when he did his politically incorrect show, which was like 25, 30 years ago, Kathy and I were in the studio audience of that once. And he was different then. Who was the comedian that
Norm
just
Macdonald.
died? Yeah, Norm Macdonald was on the show.
It was funny.
And The Price is Right filmed next door, and we wanted to see The Price is Right, but they weren't filming. We couldn't get to The Price is Right, so we saw Bill Maher. And he was very nice. He came out and talked to the audience and everything else, and he was very polite. When he did that politically incorrect show, it was more politically correct than you want to admit. He was liberal then, but not like he is now. He is so nasty. And when he was with Megyn Kelly and Gutfeld, it wasn't just that he was uncomfortable. He had something to prove, and I could tell he was talking to his friends. And he had to go on these shows and be rude and nasty. And he has been very reasonable on a lot of issues the last couple of years, but that's all going to change now. It's just he lives in that world in Hollywood. Many years ago, when we were out there and we were in the studio audience of Politically Incorrect, we were driving through Beverly Hills looking for celebrity houses. Remember, we saw Bill Maher driving his car?
Yeah,
and he had
some chick in the car.
Yeah, he had some woman in the car and had the top down, of course, so you could recognize him.
We saw him driving.
Yeah, so I'm driving through Beverly Hills. And he's a very funny and talented comedian. But there's another talented comedian who I think is much funnier, and that is Jerry Seinfeld. And did you see what happened to Jerry Seinfeld yesterday?
Mm-mm.
Oh, my good. Okay, so he gave that commencement
at Duke.
I can't talk. He gave that commencement address at Duke, and all that stuff happened with the Hamas supporters. He was doing a stand-up act somewhere, and a guy got up in the audience who was supporting the terrorism and terrorist over there, and he started going after Jerry. Jerry filleted him. I mean,
Jerry is very funny.
He handled him very well.
He's good with hecklers,
and he did it without being angry. He was the nice Jerry Seinfeld you always know. It was classy and it was clever. The audience was booing him and not Jerry, booing this Hamas guy.
Oh, I'd like to see that.
And it's online. And Jerry handled him like a gentleman. And the way Bill Maher was with Megyn Kelly and Gutfeld, especially with Gutfeld, he was really pissed with Gutfeld. But he handled it like Michael Richards with his heckler. Remember when Michael Richards got himself in trouble? You know, the thing about Bill Maher, he is one of the most talented comedians alive today. He really is, even though he's got this liberal disease, okay? And I've seen him do stand-up. I've seen him debate. I've seen him with some of the top
He's very
people,
quick.
And he is quick-witted and everything else. But what I've told people is this, because what I do is kind of dealing with hecklers, okay? When I'm taking calls on the show, it can be like dealing with a heckler. I take calls screenless. People are barking nonsense at me, and I got to deal with it on the spot. And I always tell people this when I talk to them about, you know, how you debate and do a show. As long as you don't get angry, you'll do fine. When you get angry, what anger does is it affects your mind where you don't think clearly. It's like being intoxicated, and
you say things you like that you wouldn't normally. You talk before thinking. You speak before you think.
You lose your ability to be clever and sophisticated, and you lose your ability to win a debate. And
Jerry's not an angry guy at all.
Bill Maher, I've seen him over all these years. I've seen him in dozens of debates with top guys, and he'll fillet them, and he's cool as a cucumber. But when he was with Megyn Kelly today, and when he was with Gutfeld yesterday, he was pissed off. And that anger clouded his talent, and he didn't do well.
He's used to being in control.
Yeah.
And he's not challenged too much on his show. He's in the center square. People are around him. He sets the tone. He controls that show. It was very weird to see him on Gutfeld because it's a weird show. The monologue goes on too long. And the guests really don't have that much time to talk between Gutfeld's yucking it up. They get a few things they get to say in there, but I like the show, but Gutfeld does most of the talking. And Bill Maher, to me, just looked very odd, and it tells me that that he's obviously trying to get conservatives to buy his book. And I disagree with you with the Friends. I think what's going on is, maybe that's part of it, but I think because he is saying so many things that conservatives like and agree with, that he's trying to tap into that market and get them to buy his stuff, as well as people. Bill Maher plays both sides of the fence. You know what I mean? He's
very cowardly.
He's a man that, it's good that he's honest about it. He'll attack both sides, but he really hates Trump.
Oh, yes.
It's personal. And Greg Gutfeld said that. He said, I feel like your hatred is Greg Gutfeld really called him out, and I was really surprised by that, but he didn't stand down, and I thought he handled him well. He said, your hatred of Trump, and Dr. Drew was on the show, who I really like, and he said, tell me, Dr. Drew, doesn't it seem personal with Bill Maher, that it's a personal thing? And he's right about that. It's very personal. And there's no other reason for Bill Maher to hate Trump, because if you listen to him, he agrees with 90% of what Trump does. So you got to understand, you got to try to figure out, where does this hatred come from?
Bill Maher had a confrontation with Trump years ago where Trump was threatening to sue him over a joke.
He sued him and then dropped the case.
But with a lot of these celebrities, like Robert De Niro, because Robert, and this may be true of Bill Maher too, Robert De Niro is a New York guy, right? And Trump's always kind of been based in that area. And I often feel like a lot of these celebrities didn't get the seat at the Tyson fight they thought they should get when, back in the Don King days and Tyson days. Like they were slighted somehow 40 years ago, 30 years ago, not getting those front row center ringside seats or something. And they've never gotten over it because people are always kissing their butt. And and Trump was hanging out with Michael Jackson, who was the biggest celebrity in the world at the time.
It's personal for sure.
So there's a lot of
with Joe Scarborough, it's personal.
Now I just saw a story here. Of course, Red Lobster. Going out.
Yeah, they're going out of business.
TGI Fridays is closing a bunch of restaurants, and this year so far, with these new ones, it'll be 40 TGI Fridays, and these restaurants that are closing down. obviously the inflation may have a one factor in it, but I think mainly restaurants like Red Lobster and TGI Fridays are for young people and young families, and people that are of the age to have young children in school aren't into sitting down in restaurants anymore. They're like the first generation that grow up totally tech with texting. They don't even hardly interact with people. I don't know how they get each other pregnant.
They don't go to the movies anymore.
No.
Everything comes to them. They order DoorDash.
They live in Wally's world.
But I don't think DoorDash is enough to keep these restaurants in business because there's such a huge selection on DoorDash. But you can order Fridays, Chili's, Bennigan's, whatever, these old restaurants you can order if they're in your neighborhood to deliver to you. But like I said, I don't think that's sustainable to hold up a storefront. And I think it's the young people. I think the pandemic changed a little bit of how people, that's when people started ordering everything. It really amped up with DoorDash and Instacart and all this stuff. But young people, I think Chipotle changed the way young people eat. Young people are just, this generation is so different. Like, they're much more health conscious than we were, obviously, by the way we eat, than we were growing up.
Yeah.
Our daughter, eats super healthy. And they expect more. And, Chili's, I don't eat at Chili's anymore. The food is so salty that I can, they just, I think they want to eat healthier stuff.
We went to Chili's once. And when we left, I told Kathy, I said, my wedding ring is so this food was so salty.
It's the highest salt.
My fingers were swollen,
Yeah.
and I had to take my wedding ring off. I was in pain.
And I think it's hard for families to get together and get all the kids to sit down. Like you said, they're all in their phones, to sit down and actually talk. I don't think families do that anymore.
Part of it is, and I'm talking about people that are the age to be parents that have kids in school and younger. They have that TikTok attention span, 15 seconds. That's it. 15 seconds is the longest video they can stand to watch. And the attention span of the American people is much less than it was. Even my own, I noticed my own attention span. It's hard for me to watch a full movie now because the attention span of the American people has been reduced, and it's affecting the restaurant business. But the problem with a lot of this,
it's hard for people to just sit and relax, in a restaurant. I think
the biggest change that there, and plus that generation, half of them are gay. Of the other half, a quarter of them are some gender that they're not having kids like they did either to have family night out at TGI Fridays. But the lockdowns, when this home delivery thing started, it's like Kathy and I. A lot of this has to do with Kathy being disabled. You can't go to the store normally. It's tough. But, we talk about this a lot. We do Instacart for our grocery shopping, and it saves us a lot of money because we don't buy anything that's not on the list. Okay? If we go to the grocery store, normally I'm going to buy all kinds of stuff. I'm going to buy Twizzlers.
Yeah,
I'm going to buy this. I'm going to buy, I'm going to buy that. So, but if we if we order on Instacart, we buy a lot less. We save a lot of money, even though they charge a little bit more. But on the few occasions that I'll go to the grocery store in person, it's a ghost town. They'll have one register. There's no baggers.
It's a lot of factors.
And this has a major impact because these are jobs that are a lot of jobs that young people used to have, or a side job that somebody would have. These jobs just don't exist anymore.
No, there has been such a shift in the culture. I mean, there are restaurants that do well, but it's probably, if you look around, mostly older people that are there eating out. I just don't know if younger people, for example, our daughter, like I said, she lives in LA, and she cooks mostly at home. She likes to cook. But when she goes out, her and her fiance, they go to a quick service place where you go up to the counter and you pick your food, like a sandwich or something, like Panera or something like that. I think the only restaurant I know of Emily to go to is that Korean barbecue. And that's a special occasion because it's expensive. When you go visit her, you took her there. But I don't know of Emily going out to sitting at a restaurant and sitting there. And I think it's part of its money. I think it's part of the culture because there's more options now, okay? Instead of going and sitting at a restaurant and tipping somebody and spending 2 hours there, they can go to a Panera or some other place they like, and pick up a sandwich and sit outside and eat, be done in 30 minutes, and it costs half the money. There's just more options available, and that's just what they're used to.
Here's the problem. Okay,
we didn't have all those options in high school and college.
Like when we were younger and our parents were young, going to places like Pizza Hut or TGI Fridays was a social event.
It was a big deal.
And
we loved it.
And millennials and those younger don't socialize like previous generations
exactly right.
did. And this is going to, I know this sounds a little, cerebral, but this is going to have a major sociological impact on this country and cause much more divisions because they're not since they're not socializing in person with people, they're not making connections, and it causes more division.
No, it does
a lot in the country.
And I talked to Emily about this, and she said that she has a hard time meeting people her own age. And Emily's a very sociable person. She said because, and I think we talked about this before, she said there's so many things now on your phone that are catered to your specific likes that people, there's no sense of community in that regard because everything's so personally customized to you. And you're right. I remember in high school, I grew up in Plantation, Florida, which is a suburb of Fort Lauderdale. And there was a Fridays right next to the movies of Plantation. Every Friday night, I'd go to dinner with my friends. This was like when I was in high school at Fridays. And then we'd walk across and go see the movie of the week that came out. Kids don't do that anymore. I can't remember the last time Emily and her friends went to a movie or even went out to eat at a big restaurant together. But now Red Lobster was so big when, like in the 80s and 90s. That was like the fancy place you go. It was not cheap and have a nice dinner. I remember going to the Red Lobster in Plantation. It was huge. They just built a new one there. And every time there was a line, it was a 2-hour wait to get in.
Not anymore. You can walk right in if you can find one.
Do you think it's, and one of my sorority sisters was a big executive for Red Lobster and she lost her job. Do you think I think it's a combination of things, but do you think the food has anything to do with it? Do you think the food, because I watched a thing on the news the other day, they said that restaurants have to really keep up with the younger generation and what they like to eat.
Yeah, they don't like
carbs. And if they don't keep up, they're not going to make it.
They don't like carbs, like Subway's out because they don't like carbs. Listen, we're going to take our last break. When we get back, there's more to cover. Don't go anywhere. I'm Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. We'll be back right after this.
Are you living the life that you dreamed of? The life that you and your family deserve? From U.S. combat veteran and author Brian A. Kilhelfer comes a book that will teach you what you need to know to start living the life that you want to live. Simple Investing to Millions. Everything I Wish I Knew Sooner. Available on Amazon. In this must-read and life-changing book, you'll learn that you don't need to be an expert to understand investing. Written without complex jargon, this book focuses on the steps to make your savings work for you. You'll learn how to start investing immediately, even if you're a beginner. Discover how to navigate through stocks, bonds, mutual funds, and more with ease. Learn about the power of compound interest and watch your money grow. You'll understand where to invest for the best results and find easy lessons on investing as well as stock market basics. Simple Investing to Millions is the perfect book to understand the world of investing. Whether you're just starting out or looking to solidify your financial future, this book is the place to start and finish. It also makes a great gift for young adults, working teenagers, college students, and anyone ready to start their investment journey. Order your copy right now on Amazon. Available in Kindle, paperback, and Kindle Unlimited. Simple Investing to Millions. Everything I Wish I Knew Sooner. From U.S. combat veteran and author Brian A. Kilhelfer. There's so much to explore up on the mountain. From exciting hiking trails to campfires under the stars, the beauty found in the forest is endless. In the book, Amongst the Trees, inspired by the mountains of Southern California, author Sarah Beers takes readers on a journey where you will discover colorful birds, fluffy squirrels, hungry bears, and herds of deer as they venture through the trees and uncover all the mountain has to offer. This book is perfect for young readers ages 3 to 8. It's also a great fit for classroom storytelling Storytime, focusing on wildlife and outdoor exploration. And for families seeking a bedtime story that sparks the imagination and curiosity of their little ones. Amongst the Trees uses rhymes and vivid imagery to paint a beautiful picture of the natural world. Its vibrant pages capture the beauty and diversity of Southern California's mountains. After reading Amongst the Trees, children will have learned about the real wildlife found in Southern California's mountains, the importance of appreciating nature's beauty, and how to find joy and wonder in the great outdoors, which can spark a lifelong love of exploration. Amongst the Trees, inspired by the mountains of Southern California, from author Sarah Beers, is available on Amazon and BarnesandNoble.com. Order your copy right now and discover the heart of the mountain. Discover the heart and beauty of Toronto with the Hidden Gems Toronto podcast. Now in its third season, join host Tom and Sharon Scanlon as they shine a light on Toronto's most fascinating people and places that often fly under the radar. On Hidden Gems Toronto, you'll meet creative and passionate individuals who are making a real impact in Toronto. From the city's photo laureate and a beloved local mascot to volunteer medical professionals treating casualties from the war in Ukraine. Hidden Gems Toronto is on Apple Podcast, Spotify, and your favorite podcast platform. Add Hidden Gems Toronto to your podcast playlist right now. Share the podcast on all your social media so your friends can tune in too. Also, look for them on Instagram and Facebook at hiddengems.toronto. Uncover the stories that make Toronto truly special. Hidden Gems Toronto. Don't miss an episode. Start listening right now. If you're a fan of The Girl Who Kicked the Hornet's Nest and Ink and Bone, then you'll want to add the book from author S.Z. Estevillo to your must-read list. In The Serpent's Bridge, meet Detective Nazario. Haunted by her father's unsolved murder, a case that has consumed her for 24 years, she's determined to uncover the truth. The killer, she believes, is still out there, targeting innocent lives. Now, as Mexican immigrants fall prey to a serial killer, Nazario senses a chilling connection. Sanctuary Baptist, known as a haven for immigrants, holds secrets that could unravel the case. Teaming up with her former lover, Special Agent Blake Huxley, the stakes are higher than ever. Can she stop the murders before more families are torn apart? Is this the same killer who murdered her father and left him for dead under a bridge? Pre-order your copy today on Amazon and follow S.Z. Estevillo on Goodreads. Put it on your want-to-read list and prepare for a thriller where the past and present collide with deadly consequences.
You are listening to the Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at briancraigshow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
I want to play this one clip from The View. It's not with Bill Maher. I'm not going to go talk about Bill Maher anymore. This is Joy Behar. She's got that fake Republican Farrah, whatever her name is there. And Joy Behar is talking about those of us that wear MAGA hats. And I wear a MAGA hat all the time, right? Guys, listen to this.
And by the way, out there, that hat that you keep wearing, that red hat that says Make America Great Again, that tells people that you go along with this. So you might as well just put a swastika on the hat. Don't do that. Don't do that.
Okay, now, I haven't listened past this. I'm going to play some more to see what happens. But the audience was silent on that.
Yeah.
And Joy Behar, when she said that, that was an applause line in her mind. She thought the audience was going to applaud her. I'll rewind it, then we'll play some more. But you can hear there's like a pause. And even Whoopi Goldberg, you see her face. She was like, ooh, that was a little too much. Even for Whoopi Goldberg, who won't even say Trump's name.
And by the way, out there, that hat that you keep wearing, that red hat that says Make America Great Again, that tells people that you go along with this. So you might as well just put a swastika on the hat. Don't do that. Don't do that. Because we see it anyway.
The bottom line is, this isn't good for any of us. I mean, this is what it comes down to.
What are they talking about? The View? I agree. The View is not good for any of us. What an ugly show that is.
I hate that show.
You know, there's no need to comment on that. I just wanted to share that. Last night, this and I've seen no reporting on this. Jack Posobiec tweeted this, but I haven't seen it mentioned in the news today. That doesn't mean that it hasn't been in the news because I haven't sat around and watched the news all day. But I haven't not seen this anywhere other than Jack Posobiec tweeting this. Do you know last night Zelensky's presidential term ended? and he has suspended elections until the war is over. Zelensky. Now, I want you guys to understand something.
Wow.
This is so important. Ukraine is now being governed by Zelensky under martial law. And we're supposed to be fighting for democracy against a dictator. Putin, I know their system's different. I'm not a fan of Putin. I'm not a critic of Putin. I don't care about Russia. Okay, I care about America, especially now when things are so bad here. But they just had an election, and Putin just won again. All right, they just had an election, and he won. Zelensky didn't have an election.
Nope.
He's just said, I'm president until the war's over. Now, this war could go on for 50
Well,
years.
he'll make sure of that. He's just like Castro.
Yeah, exactly.
He's exactly like Castro.
Exactly.
Napoleon.
That's right.
All these guys took advantage of a moment and took over, and boom, they're in there for life.
So
of course, Napoleon was like deposed and sent to an island, but Castro was in there for life.
Zelensky is now running Ukraine under martial law. He has finished his term as president. He did not have an election. He has outlawed oppositional political parties. He's outlawed certain churches. He doesn't like the Ukrainian Orthodox Church. He says they're Russians. He's jailed journalists. An American journalist died in one of his prisons, and that's supposed to Trump's the threat to democracy.
It's incredible.
We're supposed to be fighting for freedom over there or supporting freedom in Ukraine. It's the opposite of that, and it's amazing to me that the media are covering this up.
Yeah,
I haven't seen. This is a historic event that Zelensky's term is up and he's still the president and has suspended elections. Now he announced quite some time ago, months ago, that there would be no elections until the war is over. And when Blinken was there last week, before he was playing guitar at the honky tonk over there in Ukraine, they talked about elections in Ukraine, and they don't want to have an election till all the people of Ukraine can vote in it, Blinken said. And I talked about this on the podcast last night. What that means is, look at this standard they've set up. All Ukrainians. Russia is occupying like a huge chunk of Ukraine right now. So they're not going to have an election until the Ukrainians in Russian-occupied territory can vote. That's never going to happen.
They have a good thing going, and they're not going to let it go.
Putin's never given that area back.
No, I wanted to mention real quick, I paused on the news. Trump had come out, and I wanted to talk about his posse is growing, which I love to see. And his lawyer has one face, one facial expression, and he is looks like such a badass, this guy. You know what I mean, Blanche? He just has one facial expression. It's immovable. I love it. Yeah. And it's like, don't come for me because So here's who I noticed today is with Trump in the courthouse. I know we mentioned the Hells Angels guy, whatever. I don't care.
That's kind of cool.
He's got Ronnie Jackson, Pam Bondi, Don Jr., who is so tan, he almost looks like a black man.
Yeah, he does.
Sebastian Gorka, I noticed coming out.
Yeah, Don Jr. now leads blacks for Trump. He is really dark.
He is so dark.
Well, that's the Florida side.
Well, he's out fishing all the time. Yeah, he's really tan. Sebastian Gorka and other people, but those were the four. Ronnie Jackson was there, and I know it alternates, but Pam Bondi was interesting. I think I saw her. I really was hoping he would have made her the attorney general. Maybe he will this time around. But it's what's interesting is who's there, and I like to pay attention to who's with him and who's not there is also interesting. I haven't seen Ron DeSantis there at all.
And you won't.
Rick Scott was there. I think Marco Rubio was there.
Yeah.
Byron Donalds was there.
Yeah.
These are all top Florida guys. I haven't seen Ron DeSantis there. I know he had a brief meeting with Trump and did some stupid fundraiser, whatever. But, he's thinking for himself. But I don't see him here in support of him and in the courtroom with him. So every day, pay attention. He comes out a couple times and speaks to the press, and they do cover it on Fox. And it really is interesting to see who is with him and who. Now, Don Jr. and Eric are with him all the time. Eric's here too. Eric's been with him every day. Don Jr. not every day, but it's just interesting to me. And you know who else I don't see it is Vivek. Vivek was there outside with the Red Tie Brigade, but I've not seen him in his.
He was in the courtroom.
Was he?
Yeah, he was in the courtroom.
Just that one day. Okay.
Well, they only have so many seats each day, so they're rotating.
So it's interesting to see who is with him and who is not with him. Something to pay attention to.
Yeah.
And I wanted to recommend a book, which I never do, but I do read a lot. I'm reading Killing the Witches by Bill O'Reilly, and I've never read one of his Killing series books. There's 13 of them, and it's absolutely excellent. It's all his books have like 5-star reviews. They're all his books. So I've never read the Killing. I'm going to read Killing Jesus next. But I think you read the first one, Killing Lincoln.
I've read a couple of his books. I've read...
This Witches one is his latest. It is superb.
I read O'Reilly's Killing Lincoln. I read the Killing Patton and the Killing Kennedy book. And the Kennedy book, I didn't think offered anything unique. But the Patton book, the Killing Patton book, was really interesting. It was very interesting. Bill O'Reilly thinks that the Russians assassinated General Patton, that they had a Russian sniper kill Patton, that caused that accident that he was in and all that stuff.
Sure, somebody could have shot out the tires.
Because he was a very, very hawkish guy. Patton was the military governor of Germany, of the U.S. sector of Germany, and he talked to reporters about this. He wanted to arm the newly liberated German soldiers and invade Russia, okay? So he was like a very anti-Russian, anti-communist guy, Patton. So it is possible. I don't know, but it was a good book.
Well, if you're into the Salem witch trials, which it's a topic I like to read about, this book is excellent. I'm halfway through. It's so good. And he writes it with another guy, and they're excellent. They're not overly big, at least this one isn't. They're easy reads, but not childish. I mean, they're very well-written books. They have a nice flow. I've never read them before, and I'm going to read Killing Jesus next, which I'm very interested in. And then he has one, Killing England, which is all about the Revolutionary War. So it's a really interesting series. He has one on killing the mafia, killing legends. So if you guys have read any of his books, leave it in the comment what you thought about it. But Bill O'Reilly is a divisive character, and all of his books have good reviews, 4.5, 5 stars. So they're good.
The ones I've read are good. The Kennedy one, I didn't care, but
let
the
us
other
know.
Ones, the other ones I read were pretty good. There's another one.
But I recommend that The Witches is very good.
There's another one I've read that I can't remember offhand because I haven't read his books in a while. But
it's a good series, the Killing series. I like that.
He's very good. And Bill O'Reilly, he lives in more than one place, but he has a place down here in Florida, and we had him on the radio a couple years ago. And I don't know if I mentioned it at the time or not, but Bill O'Reilly called me to ask if he could go on the show, and I was like so impressed that Bill O'Reilly knew who I was and listened to me and called me and asked if he could come on the show. I was like,
I used to watch him on what show?
Current Affair.
I don't think it was Current Affair. That was.
Inside, I think he was on Current Affair. But
yeah, with Diane Diamond and all those guys. That was a great show. When
Kathy and I, we were out and about, and the phone rang, and I almost didn't take the call because I didn't recognize the number, and I answered the phone. It was O'Reilly, and I thought it was a prank call, and it was not. So it was pretty. It was pretty exciting for me. I want to thank our Patreon supporters for their support of the program. Thank you so much, guys. And, you Patreon supporters, your support does help us out a lot. It makes the show possible, and it's very much appreciated. And those of you that are Patreon supporters, there's a lot of things that Kathy and I both post to the Patreon page, separate from each other, that we post nowhere else. Okay? There are commercial-free editions of each and every one of our podcast episodes there, as well as a lot of things in the news and things that we don't post anywhere else. And we also are posting a lot of videos of our new kittens too. If you're interested in our kittens, you can see them there. But there's a lot of things there that no one else has access to except those of you that are Patreon supporters. So if you are a Patreon supporter, make sure you go and look all that stuff up there. And if you would like to have access to all that exclusive material, including the commercial-free editions of the podcast episodes, just become a Patreon supporter, and you'll have access to that. Okay, and our top Patreon supporters get a live, on-air thank you shout-out on each and every podcast episode. So the names you will hear now are our top Patreon supporters. I want to thank Andrew and Connie, Christine, ETW, Chuck, D, Pamela, Rick, Nick, Wesley, Macho, Mike P., Carlos, Paulette, John, K-Mac, Alice, Richard, Maria in Texas, David, Heather, LeeZep, Shawna, Constance, George, Brandon, and our newest top Patreon supporters, Rob and Trish Wilkerson. Thank you all for your support. Now, if you'd like to become a Patreon supporter, there is a link in the description of this and every episode on whatever platform you're listening to the program on. Well, thanks everyone for tuning in. My name is Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. We'll talk to you next time.